What is up, Hardcover Hooligans listeners the world over, and welcome back to the Hardcover Hooligans podcast. My name is Mac. As always, with me here is Danilo. And Danilo, I have a question for you.
Go ahead.
Why have you been hiding romance novels from me my whole life?
Because I hate you. And I don't want you to be happy.
I can tell.
I figured you got married, so you can't be any happier in
Oh,
love than you already are.
Yeah. Well, you'd be wrong, because we read Fourth Wing. I love Fourth Wing more than I love my marriage. That's my quote on the cover.
You said we read Fourth Wing, Mac. You read Fourth Wing.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry. I forgot how
any Fourth Wing.
If for whatever reason you're out of your mind and you're listening to Fourth Wing Part 2 for the very first time, you're listening to this show, we're doing something a little different than normal. I have read and now have completed Fourth Wing, similarly to the previous episodes where Danilo read A Court of Thorns and Roses.
Woohoo!
And we're doing a sort of book report on it. I have my notes. We're going to do the same way the podcast normally works, but this time one-sided. We're just trying something new.
Yeah, I will not be speaking. I will just be...
Oh, yeah, it's quiet, too. It's
shaking my head disapprovingly the whole time.
Yeah. It's a real visual podcast. So, Danilo, you did the same thing. You asked the same thing of me on the Part 2 for A Court of Thorns and Roses, so I'm going to do the same here. Tell me what you remember. It's okay if it's nothing from last time, because I do have a recap.
I do remember. So, there's these 19-year-olds are going to college.
They're 20, actually. I was wrong.
Okay, they're 20. They're going to college. And their country is at war constantly. So they're going to a war college.
Yep.
But the tricky thing about this war college is that there's a bunch of dragons and you could die at any second.
Yep.
And I believe our main character's name is Soren... No. Violet Sorengale.
Nicely done. That is her name.
I wanted to say Soren Nightingale, but I think that's
badass. That's awesome. That's a way cooler name, but no, unfortunately.
Who's Nightingale? Wasn't there like a
Florence
Nightingale from the Red Cross? I don't know.
Yeah, from the Red Cross. And there's also the first time I thought Nightingale was a fake thing because it was I'm just an idiot. And the first time I ever saw it was in Skyrim. So I was like, so when somebody really talked about Nightingale in real life, I was like, what are you talking about? This isn't.
Yeah, also
Skyrim.
Nightingale from the bird that exists.
Right, from the bird.
From the bird.
From the bird.
And she is like the daughter of the general.
Yeah.
And she goes to school and she's like supposed to be like a scribe, but then she like gets sorted into the not scribe house.
Her mom makes her go to the scary like dragon riders.
The dragon rider.
But yeah, she trained all her life to be like a historian, and then at the last second, her mom was like, "No, you have to be badass."
She wanted to be a drone pilot, sitting in a room by herself, but now she's like a real pilot, risking her life.
It's like if you sat on a Predator drone, and that is sort of what it feels like.
Yeehaw! I also there's like she has like some friends or something. There's also like this guy who hates her, but he's also hot. She's like convinced he's trying to kill her.
Yeah.
And he's like a junior, right?
It is his third year, but the third year is the last year. There's not
Got
four.
it.
So, but yes.
No seniors at this college.
No
senior skip day.
No. Yeah, that's a big part of it. They used to be, and then they all didn't fucking show up for the battle or whatever, and so they got rid of senior year altogether.
What else? She does some trials, and then eventually she like all the other students keep dropping like flies.
Yeah.
And then she bonds with the biggest, coolest dragon, and also the tiny baby golden dragon.
She sure does.
And then when you bond with your dragon, you get like a special power, and the hot guy's power is like shadow magic.
Yeah.
And we don't really know what her power is, but
yeah, because you get
last we left, she was like about to be assassinated or something. And
yes.
We don't know what it is, and she like stopped time or something before what's the guy's name?
Zayden Ryerson, Danilo. That is his
Zayden.
Name. They
Zayden like kills him with the shadow magic.
He sure does. It's awesome. Very. I mean, it is literally. I am very curious. Like, it is seriously just what it is in the Malazan Book of the Fallen. Like, it is seriously, literally just that. But so yes, what you said about the dragons and magic is correct, but an important clarification is that bonding to the dragon like gives you the ability to channel magic, and then you need to like manifest that somehow. And the theory is, nobody knows this for sure, but the theory is that it's something to do with your personality. So like more you do be yourself, the easier it will be to channel your magic. And it's actually, there's some pretty cool, I don't know, it's kind of cool. But yes, that is Fourth Wing. That is where we left off. I just wanted to say something up top just to get my feelings out of the way here, okay? I have not listened to a lot of audiobooks in my life. On this podcast, I listened to Mistborn on audiobook. And I reread, when I reread and led us through The Lord of the Rings, I listened to Andy Serkis on audiobook. I listened to the second half of this book on audiobook. And I don't know if they just cast like the best actor ever, or if this book is good, because this book is like written in the first person present tense point of view. And so the person narrating it is pretty much just like acting the whole time. It's like, It feels like they're like in a role-playing game, because they're like, I move to this room and say this.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
And she's a really good like voice actor and is really like gets into it, and it's like really entertaining. So I'm like going about my day and listening to this audiobook, and I'm like getting fucking pumped up, and I was having a really good time. And when I went back to get like more detailed notes for this episode, I was reading it with my eyes, and I was like, oh, this isn't as cool as and like good as I maybe thought it was.
Interesting. Because we had a similar, I think the audiobook effect is a real thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because we talked about this with Mistborn, where it's, you know, if you have to clog through all those sentences that don't really mean anything, or like that you get hung up on, you don't have to like actively read those. They're read to you, so you can sort of passively get it. Which is not to say audiobooks aren't reading, it's just a different kind of thing, you know.
And like the bad prose doesn't really strike out as, because this book is still really poorly written, and so it doesn't but that doesn't like matter when like because it feels like you're listening to a young person, like a 20-year-old talk, like thinking, and it's like
well, this is being justified by like the acting and the reading and the tone and everything.
Yeah, so I just want that out there, that my opinion of this book is definitely skewed, because the audiobook is really good.
Interesting.
Now, listener, if you've read Fourth Wing, you are probably aware of the wildly explicit sex scenes in this book.
Really?
Now, oh yeah. Now, I am not, my mom listens to this show, so I'm not going to sit here and read some sentences from the sex scenes. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on them, because I didn't really find they're not like as big a part of this book as I feel some people would lead you to believe, but it is really explicit. Like, I've never read the word clit in a book before until I read this book. I didn't even know what it is. I thought it was fake. And so now I know it's real, because Violet Sorrengail has it. Has one.
Has it. She has that. She has it.
She has the clit.
Yeah, she gets it. Every woman in the world gets it for 2 weeks a year.
It's sort of like trading like equipment at like a manufacturer. You know, you get a big machine, you have to clean it, something like that.
Exactly like that.
But yeah, I mean, there is an explicit sex scene. I will bring it up, but I'm not going to read quotes from it. But yes, it is incredibly explicit. Probably way more so than ACOTAR.
Yeah, we could compare and contrast.
That might be a fun
at the end, or even throughout, because this is also, it's like 4th grade reading class. We've read 2 things. We get to compare and contrast.
That's true.
I did not find, because your opening question told me that you like this whole romance thing, and it's very fun and great.
I have found that romantasy is a genre that I do like. I don't think it's like, at least this one isn't good, but I like it. Yeah.
Fascinating, because I've read romance books, like classical, like I've read like Jane Eyre and I've like
oh well, yeah.
done, I like Pride and Prejudice and all that stuff. Like those are all just like romance books basically. And I hated ACOTAR. And part of it is because I think the characters are not good. Like you kind of want, like you have to have some element of buy-in, because like you want these people together, or you like want them to like have sex or like watch them do that. Like it has to do something for you. Like, oh, I'm glad that happened for them, or live vicariously through them or something. Not it's two people you kind of hate. It's like watching your two high school bullies have sex. Like why would you?
Why would you?
I don't want to do
or
this.
Just like two. Yeah, it's not. I don't have a vested interest in the like. I wouldn't be interested if the book was just this and no character stuff or like other stuff. But I don't mind that it's here, and I'm not gonna lie to you. It is kind of hot, but it's not. I'm not here specifically for this, but I think it's like fun flavor to the rest of it.
Yeah,
I think the people on like making YouTube video essays complaining about how this is ruining literature need to seriously relax. I think those people probably haven't actually read this book. There are way worse examples of this sort of thing. See books like Icebreaker, or there are like the new trend of like pulp romance novel is way I think more like explicit, and also maybe like weirdly abusive, or like
like it's
weird
just
age gaps and stuff. But like none of
just
all
like
this
porn.
It's
just porn to books, the way that like porn is to like video porn is to movies, right? Like it's not like people filming porn videos. It's not like ruining cinema.
Right. And I think that like somebody might draw a comparison between this and like there's a lot of sex in A Song of Ice and Fire, for example. And honestly, it is written. Actually, that's not the word. Clit is, I think, is in those books, so I lied. But they
didn't say what was the last thing. There's no. He doesn't say I was voluntold. They don't,
right?
They don't do
yeah.
that
There's
in
none
Song
of that.
Of Ice and Fire.
But the difference between A Song of Ice and Fire and this is that this isn't like first person, and so when like a character has like a character, it's always Violet until the very end. But I'll talk about that. There's POV switch. There's when she like is turned on, like she makes mention of it. Like, but the sex scenes, I haven't reread A Song of Ice and Fire in a long time, but like I feel like they're equivalent, and I feel like
I feel like I read a chunk. I read like a good chunk of A Song of Ice and Fire. I don't like no sex scenes like stick out to me. It's like I think it's because it's third person. It's like you're watching people.
Yeah.
Sex,
And also, it's usually like weird. Like in A Song of Ice and Fire, it's like a brother and a sister, and it's like
it's like fucked up
to further. Yeah, it's like weird and bad, and like that's the point of why it's happening.
And that's like the whole world.
right.
In that book.
But in this, it's like two people I actually care about, and so it's sort of fun. It's like seeing your two best friends fuck each other. You know how everybody wants to do that. Okay, so we're gonna do a recap here. Just some character, some allegiances, and where we lie. The main thing is that Violet Sorrengail and Xaden Ryerson, their dragons are a mated pair, and thus Xaden himself and Violet herself are a mated pair. Now, physically, sans dragon, they can be away from each other, but if their dragons are away from each other for like more than 3 days, like they get... a rider feels its dragon's emotions just as if they were experiencing them, and so they'd be like depressed and absolutely miserable, even though it's not them feeling that, it's their dragon. So they have to be together.
And didn't you mention something that like there were other dragon riders whose dragons were mated and they ended up getting married or something? And then, or like if a dragon dies, then
Taryn's previous rider died, and it's like a dragon's rider, that bond is pretty strong, so it depends on the bond. But like Taryn, Violet's dragon, he's like he's a big guy with a big heart, and so if Violet were to die, then it would definitely kill Taryn, which would then kill Sgail, which is Xaden's dragon, which would then kill Xaden. So all four of them are connected, and they can all, which is pretty fun, talk to each other telepathically.
Cool.
Okay, so like...
yeah, impossible to have just a normal friendship that way, huh?
True. It's true. They try they do try, but it doesn't work. Okay, so Violet, yes, she's attacked in her sleep by a bunch of unbonded riders. Because remember the last time I talked about this thing called threshing, which is like when the dragons get to choose their riders, but not all the riders get chose. There's just some schlumps. There's some JV motherfuckers out there trying to make it to the NFL, and it's not going to work out. She wakes up in her room. Oh, this is important. Unbonded cadets live in like a big shared dormitory where like dragon riders, bonded cadets, get their own room, and it is forbidden for the unbonded to enter another like a dragon rider's room. Well, it's actually, you can't even go on the floor, let alone step in their room. It's also against like the codex of the school to kill a rider while they sleep. It's like the only time you can't do that.
Got it.
But she's woken up in her sleep by like being stabbed, but she wears like this sweet armor all the time because she's like 5 foot tall and brittle.
Oh, that's right. She has like her sister's dragon armor underneath all the time.
So she sees a character like open the door and like run out, and she knows that person. She recognizes that person, but the story, like, she doesn't share that out loud. She's like, oh, I can't believe it's that person I know. So she is like aware of who it is.
But the reader is not.
Right.
Suspense.
She's getting beat up and she almost gets her throat slit, but then like you said, time stops. She moves to the other side of the room. Xaden like bursts through the door. Xaden bursts through the door, time stops. She like moves to Xaden while time has stopped. Xaden kills everybody, and Xaden is like, what the hell? Because he's like, you just teleported. Like, is that your power? Like, you can teleport? And Tarn and Ondarna, the golden dragon, they're like, don't say anything about that. Like, don't bring up that just happened. Don't tell anybody. But Xaden's not stupid. They sort of figure out that it's like time manipulation, and Guile, Xaden, Tarn, Ondarna, and Violet are all like, okay, we can't let anybody know this happened, because the way that dragon magic works is that it's like a combo. The dragon gives the ability to use magic, and then the rider is able to manifest what that magic is. So like, if it's a red dragon, that doesn't necessarily mean the guy is going to cast fire. Like, that's not what's going on.
It's not like predetermined what kind it is.
But what just happened is that Ondarna, who's like small and a feather tail, which means she's like a baby, just cast magic all on her own, which is something that dragons can do, but has insofar been a secret for like a millennia.
Ah, interesting.
And so they're like, if you tell people that she just did that, and it's like crazy powerful, like time stopping abilities, that's like probably the most powerful magic ever, they're gonna hunt down all the baby dragons and like subjugate them and kill them.
Right.
So don't tell anybody. So they're like, okay, we won't tell anybody. This is really hard because Dane Atos, her old friend from young life, who is now the squad leader, he's in his second year, his magical ability, he can read minds via touch. This is really important.
Isn't that like oh my god, that's like a vampire from Twilight.
Yes, yeah. Yes, it is. It's
like,
what's her
is it
face?
Edward? Isn't that Edward's power?
No, it's his sister
guy.
or whatever.
Yeah.
He can read minds via touch. This is really important. Not now, but it becomes really important. The next day, they're all eating breakfast or whatever, and at this point, Violet is like shares with a friend that she told Xaden who she saw flee from her room. And so Xaden like gets up in the middle of lunch and he like accuses a person who was in the book earlier. Yeah. Accuses a squad. She's either a squad leader or higher ranked than that. I don't remember. But her name is Amber Mavis. And you may remember her from the previous episode when I said that there was like, when Violet cheated to get up the gauntlet, there was like a squad leader that got really pissed that she broke the rules. That was her. It's also Dane Atos' like ex-girlfriend or whatever, and she's like, no, that's bullshit, I didn't do that. And so they argue, and Dane's like, oh, let me just see your memories, like, I'll be able to see if you're lying, because Dane doesn't believe her. But he's just like lunging for her and trying to grab her. It's kind of fucked up. Oh, it's not kind of, it's fucked up. An important thing, like, earlier in the book, last time I talked about how Violet like witnessed a secret meeting between Xaden and a bunch of like the rebellion kids.
Right, because it's like illegal for
more than
a certain
three
number
of
of them to be together, and they all have like a tattoo. And
there's a reason
like
why.
that, yeah.
It's not just because they're racist. There is a lore reason why there can't be three of them.
Interesting.
But Violet realizes that if Dane touches her, he's going to be able to see that meeting and figure out that like she's been hiding this. Because right now, she still thinks like Xaden is plotting like a rebellion in the school.
Right.
That is what she thinks is happening. He's not doing a lot to disprove this notion because he is an asshole. Nobody believes it's like a big fracas, big argument, and then I guess like suddenly dragons have the ability to share memories with each other. So okay, so Tarn and Andarna share that memory with all of the dragons, like who then share it with their riders in the room, and so then they're like, oh, she's telling the truth. Let's execute this woman. And so after that, everybody's like, oh shit, Violet and Xaden, they're tight. Like, what's going on with that? Because that doesn't normally happen. After this assassination attempt, Xaden assigns some dude, best character in the book, in my opinion, my favorite character in the book, he's just some dude named Liam. And he's like, I gotta protect you now. And he just like hangs out with her, and she's like annoyed, but he's like, I can't leave your side, man. Like, this big man told me I couldn't leave. He also has a rebellion, like, marking, and does he
have a dragon?
Yeah, he does. He does have a dragon. He's like a big tough, like he's the best fighter in their first year class.
Imagine Liam Hemsworth, perhaps.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. Just a big, nice, handsome, tough guy. But a friend, not a sexual interest.
Right.
Which is actually, funnily enough, that actually becomes important. So he follows her around, and they sort of like she's pissed off that he's always following her, but then he's like, all right, it's actually kind of sweet that he really is like taking care of me, and he's very protective, and he's a nice guy. And she learns like later that he's like, what are you doing sleeping outside my door? And he's like, what? No, you're crazy. I sleep in the room next door. And then like later she like leaves her room in the middle of the night, and he is like sleeping like right outside the door, which is sort of nice. But she wakes up in the middle of the night, and her like whole body is on fire, and she's like, oh, this is probably it, like I'm about to channel magic, because like the people around her are starting to be able to cast magic, but she still can't. She's like falling behind yet again. And Tarn is like not really frustrated, but he's like, you're not, being yourself or whatever, you're not going to be able to do magic. And so she's like, what's happening, and she's like, oh, I know what's happening. I'm so horny right now, like she's like, why? And it's because her dragon and Xaden's dragon are fucking each other. And so she's like, oh my god. She's like, oh my god, I can't take it anymore. So she goes outside, and she sees this like buff hot dude, and she's like, Liam, you need to go, you need to leave, you need to go now. Because she's like there's like the question almost, of like, is this like non-consensual? Like, it's like if you know what I mean? Because it's not her. Yeah. He's like, she doesn't feel that way about him, but like she's literally being magically.
She's having like a biological reaction because of the dragons. Yeah.
And so she like runs into Xaden, of course, who's like smoking weed. It's not weed, it's magic weed. But she's like, you can't smoke that here. And he's like, yeah, I know, but I have to, or else you are experiencing the same thing I am right now, and it's fucking crazy. So that's why I do this. He's like, do you want some? And she's like, no. And so they talk and they talk and they talk and they bicker and they argue, but then they finally, after 400 pages or whatever, they kiss. But then Xaden pushes her away, and he's like, you're not thinking straight, like literally. So you have to leave. Like, we're going to go our separate ways. And after this moment, like weeks pass of college or whatever, and he's not talking to her anymore because he's like,
do they have like classes and stuff? Like, what goes on?
Yeah, they have like history class and battle class and like dragon rider like skills class and stuff like that. The important one is this class called Battle Brief, which is like, that's actually the next part here. Violet is on the duty to like go to the archives and get whatever like battle they're going to learn about today. And so she goes down and she reads about this battle that actually just happened, because they read about all of these recent battles. She goes down and she gets the document, and she's with Liam because Liam switched duty to her to follow her around. But the document is about a battle like that Navarre, the country, is like losing bad, and like stuff is really bad. And they're looking at this document. They're like, I think this should be classified. Like, We should not be reading this. I think something bad happened. But they deliver it to the professor, like sealed. They reseal it.
So they like, how would they get this delivered to them?
They go down into the archive and they're like, "Hey, do you have the things we need for the battle brief today?" And they're like, "Yes."
Oh, and so they thought like, oh, someone made a mistake or something.
Yeah. So they give it to the professor to like learn about, because they assume that they're just gonna like give it to them in maybe a different way, you know, when they do the class, because they shouldn't have read all like the grisly details. But when the professor starts talking, they're talking about a completely different thing altogether. And so they're like, why aren't we learning about this? Like, we learn about all the other battles, right? And then they're like, wait a minute, what if we aren't really learning about the other battles?
What if we're only learning about the battles we're winning?
Right. Yes.
Oh.
Let's see, what do I... Oh, okay, so some more time passes. Violet's squad, they do like this cool training exercise so good that they win. Oh, it's actually pretty fun. So it's weird. I feel like there's probably better ways to train your students on how to do, like, be crafty, but just like in the middle of the night, they're like, "Hey, it's the next part of the challenge. Like, wake up and everybody has to go into the lobby and we're going to talk about this." And so
I thought about this. Oh, sorry.
No. Oh, no, go ahead.
Oh, this is just a random thing since between our last recording and this recording. I thought of like the war, like it does not make, if you're in a war, maybe this gets brought up. Like if you're in a war, it does not make sense to just kill a bunch of otherwise able-bodied soldiers in these horrible tasks. So there's a constant pile of corpses. They
have like infantry also. It's just like, this is the drag. They have plenty. They're not hurting for infantry. What they do actually need are people to ride these dragons. But they fall off the dragons a lot. But yes, it is stupid that the cadets are allowed. Like,
it's like, yeah, if they fall off the thing instead of dying, put them in the infantry. You got more infantry.
Right.
They're already like trained and hardened. It's just a total waste.
No. Oh yeah. So their professors give them the objective. They're like, the night for the objective is you have 2 hours to bring us what would be the most useful thing our enemy could have in this whole college. What is the most useful thing? And oh my god, I didn't actually write down what they get. Hang on 1 second.
It's like, is it that brief that they got?
No, actually. What does
it's the friends they made along the way.
Yeah. They do actually kind of have a conversation about that.
It's the big nuclear bomb we keep in the middle of the school. I'm telling you, you're selling me on these books. They seem like it's pretty schlocky fun.
Okay. So they're like, this part is all schlocky fun. And that there's actually a really smart detail that, again, I didn't read it. I don't know if like the actual text of the book makes this more obvious, but the person reading the audiobook didn't. So when it came back later, I was like, holy shit, that's so cool. They're like, okay, so what should we get? Should we go like get like a history of like the dragons, like that only we would have? Like our enemies would probably like that, right? And they're like, no, it's too lame. And Violet's like, I have an idea. What if we sneak into my mom's office? And just like, she's bound to have something in there. But it's not as if they won't get punished. It's not like all the things they're doing to fulfill this request. If caught, they're still gonna like, you'd be executed for sneaking into her mom's office.
Right, but if they get caught during this task, is it like good for you, or would you still get executed?
No, you still get executed.
Oh, okay.
But which again, it's like, really? But
right. Well, but also then like if you brought the thing and you could only get it from one place, and they know where you got it, and then they execute
it. Well, I don't know. Plausible deniability. I didn't film myself doing it.
I got my mom's birth certificate somewhere else.
They devised this fun plan. The whole squad, like one of their squad members can like astral project, so they can be in like 2 places at once. So they like send out this projection as a distraction, and they distract the guards, and they sneak in or whatever. And Violet's looking in her mom's office, and her mom has this like weird. This is the detail that is nothing. She has this like weird black letter opener on her desk, like this black knife, and she's like, okay, it's just got like a cool rune on it, and she like throws it away. But on her wall is a map of like troop movements and supply routes, and so they're like, oh, we have to steal that. And so they steal that, and hijinks ensue, and they go back and they win. They win the competition, and Xaden gives like a knowing. He's like, very nicely done, Violet.
So the mom is like the general, but also in charge of the school?
She's the dean of the war school.
Oh,
She's
got
given like the name general, but a guy named General Milgren or whatever, he's in charge of the big battle. And General Milgren's special ability is that he can literally see the future. Like he can see the outcome of battles. Like as soon as the battle starts, he's like, I know we're gonna lose. So he's pretty hard to beat. He also has a black dragon.
Cool.
Okay, so they win, and so their reward is like you get to go to an outpost and like
they don't ask where this map came from.
No, the professors get pissed. It feels very much like a
they did too good of a job.
Yeah, or like a dropping your own name into the goblet of fire. Like it feels it's like one of these. But they get to go to a sweet outpost, and it seems kind of lame at first, and then they bump into. They're like, and a real dragon rider is going to come here and teach you guys about stuff. And Violet turns around and she's like, is that my sister? And it is. It's like her sister is at this outpost and they hug and they reconnect. And her and her friend Rhiannon like sneak away so that Rhiannon can see her family. It's all like, okay, all fun and games, whatever. But then Xaden shows up. And this is where we learn that like, they literally, like, her and her sister are talking about the bonded dragons, and Mira goes, how long can dragons be separated? And Xaden literally steps up from the shadows and is like, apparently 3 days. I mean, he's like, I'm here. And so he's there with them running exercises and whatever, and thank God he is there, because a bunch of griffins attack the outpost, because the wards that protect, like, the veil where they are, like falter, and like the griffins.
Oh, because didn't you mention there was some hint of like the magic in the world is failing for some reason, or they don't know why.
And so the griffins attack, and Mira's like, Xaden, you have to get Violet out of here, and he's like, okay. And they have this is where Xaden starts to become like a human being instead of like the living embodiment of the enemies to lovers stereotype, where he's like, no, I'm gonna like get you out of here, and like you have to trust me, like we're a team, we have to be a team. So they escape, but they escape and like the whole outpost is destroyed and it's on fire. So she doesn't know if her sister died. And then like the next chapter starts and like a professor shows up and she's like, your sister, she's fine. She's not dead. So that's good at least. But she escapes. They're still pondering like what happened? Like why did the wards fail? This is so weird. Xaden and her have a conversation because they try to get to know each other better. Xaden tells Violet, like, because he, like, always disappears sometimes. He's like, where'd you disappear to? And he tells her eventually, he's like, I keep going to an outpost called Athbine. And Athbine is outside of the wards to begin with. It's not in them at all. And she's like, okay, thanks for he was just like, thanks for being honest with me.
He's not addicted to magic weed and has to, keep going outside.
No. They do like this big practice battle, and Violet still doesn't have her signet ability. That's like what it's called when you can channel it. It's your signet ability.
Okay, so the time stopping thing sort of happened on accident.
Well, Undarna can cast that whenever she wants.
Oh, I see.
So it takes like a lot out of her, so she can't do that all the time. But that's not her ability.
So the first fake out is the dragon did it. The second fake out is she was horny.
Right. Yes. yes. Exactly. But during this fake battle, do you remember last time I talked about this guy named Jack? He's like a psychopath who's like trying to kill Violet all the time for like some, because he
in a different way than it was implied Xaden was trying to. Right?
Yeah, he's like actively trying to. Like they do like practice battles, and he's like, "I'm gonna snap your neck!" Like he's like crazy. So during this practice battle, she sees Jack and his dragon like come up on Liam and his dragon, and like Jack jumps onto Liam's dragon and like stabs him like right through the side, and he falls off. Liam falls off of his dragon, and Violet's like, oh shit, and Undarna's like, I'm gonna cast Time Stop, and she's like, no, don't do it, you're too small, you're too weak, like it makes you too tired. But she does, and they catch up and they grab Liam and they deliver him to safety, and then Violet's so pissed she can like feel it. She's like, oh, this is it. Like, this is the magic. And she, like, points her finger at Jack, who's, like, on this mountaintop fortress, and a bolt of lightning explodes the whole mountain.
Shit.
It is crazy. And, like,
That's
and then
awesome.
And then her dragon literally, like, the chapter ends, he says, lightning wielder! It's like, I was like, fuck yeah! That's so beast. That is fucking sweet.
She's Zeus.
Oh my god, what a team. What a team! Oh, I meant to talk about this.
I'm gonna stop time around you and then zap you with lightning.
Cast lightning bolts. This is the magic thing I was talking about. The way, because there's like magic. There's a fun little detail about writing utensils in this world. Like unbonded, like, non-magical people have to use quills, but magic people get, like, base telekinesis, so they can keep, like, ink flowing through pens, so they get to use pens. They can also, like, unlock doors. Like, you get to, like, move, like, cups around and stuff. You know, you get, like,
okay.
a baby version of the Force.
So they don't have. So the reason they can have pens is because they can basically telekinesis wise make a ballpoint pen.
Yeah,
in
exactly.
This, like, video. Got it.
Exactly. But the way you access it is, like, you need to ground yourself. It's like you're doing a therapy exercise. Like, you have to ground yourself in a location in which you feel safe, and then
you can write a letter.
Then you write a letter. No, you, like, step a little bit out of it to, like, access, like, more and more powerful magic. But if you completely step out of it, like, you'll lose yourself and, like, die or explode or something.
Or go insane.
Right.
Or something, yeah.
Well, there's that story.
Right.
That, like, wasn't in the archives. Which is weird about a group of people called Venin who, like, use magic not from their dragons, but, like, from the earth and, like, corrupts them and the earth. And they also have wyverns, which are dragons with 2 legs. But the important part is they're, like, created. They're not, like, naturally born.
Whatever happened to, like, the battle plan thing they weren't supposed to get? They, like, handed it to the professor and then that was it?
I don't know. Never brought up.
Oh, all right.
She kills Jack. She feels really, really bad. Like, she can't believe it. Dane is like, oh, don't feel bad. You're so cute. You're so sexy. And Xaden, he breaks it down for her in front of everybody. He's like, this is the job. Like, you can't. And he's not wrong. He's like,
this is the reason you're here and the reason you have all this stuff.
You have to get used to it. I'm not saying you have to be okay with it, but you do have to get used to it. And she's like, oh, she goes to her room, and then Xaden comes to her room, and he's like, listen, I'm sorry that you're upset, but I was right. Like, you are gonna have to get used to it. And they talk, and this is where the sex scene happens. This is where it all goes down. She orgasms so hard, lightning burns down a forest, which is pretty sweet. that goes hard.
Nice.
Yeah, they some more time passes. They don't have sex again because they feel like Xaden is making it very clear that, like, he doesn't want to be in love with. He's got his walls up. He's brooding. He's he's got a lot going on.
Him. She can bring the walls down.
He has a bunch of scars on his back. We learn, and he hasn't wanted to talk about them before, but now he's willing to open up. And Xaden explains that the reason that all of the rebellion kids, there's 107 of them, and he has 107 scars, are able to not be immediately executed and be able to try to live by going through this dragon school is because of him. He, like, made that deal, and they lashed him 107 times. And it's all on him. Like, if one of them betrays the nation,
everyone
they all
gets
die.
Killed. Yeah.
But it's like his ass is first on the chopping block, so he tries to keep everybody in line.
How noble of him.
How noble. He's so noble and he's so honorable, and he's like, I can't touch you. That's against. You don't really want this. I would never touch a woman who didn't want me to touch him. And I'm like, okay, all right. Even Violet at a certain point is like, okay, we get it. You're so chivalrous. But he is. He's very chivalrous. He walks around with 2 swords on his back. He's the coolest guy in the whole world.
Nice.
They sort of become boyfriend girlfriend.
Oh, they're going steady as
they're going steady, you know? But, like, they're, like, communicating more and, like, going on missions or whatever, and, like, but then, like, communication, like, drops, and, like, Xaden's being broody again, and Violet thinks it's, like, another woman, even though, like, Xaden, like, made her, like, a special saddle and a bunch of, like, special throwing knives, and, like,
girl, he was barely with you.
Yeah.
Yes. With someone else at the top of a hat.
It's kind of lame, but whatever. And she thinks, like, this is all based on because he and his best friend, a guy named Garrick, were, like, shirtless fighting, like, in the sparring gym. And this girl named Imogen, like, was looking over and was like, oh my god, wow. Like, look at him, he's so hot. And it didn't once cross her mind that she had a crush on the other guy. Like, and that is what is revealed to be. Like, Imogen's like, no, I like Garrick, not Xaden. And it's like,
that's so funny.
Right.
That also
Which
makes sense as to someone who is in that stage of love would think that, or would have that blind spot. So that also seems realistic to me.
So they're going steady or whatever. There's like this day, Unification Day. It's like the day the rebellion was put down. Liam is still with Violet, and they go to this like party. And the big general is there, like General Mildred, who can see the future, and like her mom is there, and Dane's dad, like Colonel Atos, is there, and all the big, the king is there. But there's this weird thing where like the king is there, but like her mom is like telling the king like what to do and where to go, and so it's like, But the general says something very important here. He says, "Where's Xaden? I always like to see what he's up to when I'm here." And Violet's like, "That's weird. He can literally see the future. Like, why wouldn't he be able to see what he's doing anyway?" And so she's like, "Okay, that was weird." And so she can't find Xaden. She does eventually. He's like brooding on the parapet that they had to cross because it's the 6th anniversary of when his dad was publicly executed right in front of him. So
God.
So he's like on the parapet, and Violet is like crossing it, and she struggled so bad the first time, and Xaden like gets up and he's like, he like flips out, and they have sort of a fun argument. I was wrong. This is where they become like boyfriend, girlfriend. They hold like hands, and they talk and get to know each other a little better. Aww. And they like hug and have a sweet kiss, and they go back to the room, and they have sex a lot of times. Yeah. But during the middle of their sexy times, Garrick is banging on the door, and he's like Basgiath War Colleges. Yeah, the whole time. In time to the he's like causing noise cancellation. No, he bangs on the door, and he's like, the college is under attack. And it's like, oh. And then the next chapter that's wrong. They just said that so that everybody would wake up. So
that's hilarious.
It is pretty funny. It is pretty funny.
This chapter needs a cliffhanger.
You gotta put that in. But they wake up, and it's like the last stage of their war games. It's like, this is the last thing. The mission
is like the school year, or like
yeah.
Okay.
Yep. It's 10 days before graduation. Everybody gets a mission, like a real world mission, and you just go do the mission and come back. And Violet is in her second squad with Dane, and their mission is to just go to they have some bullshit mission or whatever. And Xaden comes up to Violet, and he's like, "Violet, you're in my squad. Like, I need you with me. Because of our dragons. Like, they can't be apart from each other, and like we're gonna be gone for a week. So you have to be with me." And Dane is like pissed off, but Violet like convinces him because Dane likes Violet or whatever. And Dane's a real asshole. And she's like, "No, Dane, it's gonna be fine. It's gonna be fine." And Dane's like, "Okay, I'm sorry. The way I've been acting, I've been overreacting. Like, I've been so rude." And he touches her, and is like, "Good luck out there." And he says, "I'll miss you." Like, that's weird. He said, "I'll miss you." So and Xaden gets his orders, and they're like, "Where are we going?" And he's like, "We're going to Athbine," which is where he has been going for the past however long. So they leave, but they take a little break because flying is hard work. Mm-hmm. And her and Xaden like sneak off in the woods, and they're like kissing. And then a griffin rider like shows up, and she's like, "Oh, is this what you dragon riders do?" And Violet starts freaking out. They're outside the wards.
Okay, yeah. So, but Griffin, is that like an enemy person, or is that like another person?
That's like the bad guys ride griffins. Yeah.
Oh, got it.
Which does sound stupid. Yes, you're right. But a griffin rider shows up, and Violet's like, "Oh shit, it's the enemy." But Xaden goes, "You're late," or he's like, "You're early."
Oh.
And Violet's like, "Huh?" And she like looks around and realizes that everybody except for her has a rebellion relic like in the squad, which I noticed instantly. Like right away, Violet's like, "Who's in the squad?" And Xaden's like, "All the rebellion people." And Violet's like, "Okay, like I don't think anything's weird or silly with that." And so they're talking, and what is discovered in this conversation is that Xaden and the rebellion kids have been smuggling weapons to the enemy.
Oh,
but
shit.
It is because outside the wards, the rest of the world is fighting a war against the Venin and the Wyvern. It's not so that they can like attack Navarre, it's so that they can defend themselves. And Violet's like, "But those are just fairies and fable tales." You're
riding a dragon, girl.
Yeah. But she's like, this can't be true. This can't be true. And there's this whole fucking thing where she's like, you betrayed me. I can't believe you betrayed me.
Oh
and
my God.
That unfortunately really does suck. And, but to Zayden's credit, he's like, listen, man, take all the time you want. We don't have to be together anymore. But I did bring you out here to like, I was literally going to tell you, like, I brought you out here to like
this
show
is me
you them
telling
with
you
your
right
eyeballs.
now.
Right. It just happened like maybe a little earlier than you thought. But she's like, no,
so then,
fuck you.
Who are the main people fighting then? Who are they in a war against?
Well, the whole thing is like propaganda. Like nothing. They're fighting the people fighting the monsters because they know the monsters are real, and they're like, if somehow these Griffin people tell the citizenry of our nation that the monsters are real, everything goes up in smoke.
Oh,
so they're keeping the secret. Like the
so
world,
it is
like outside their walls, the apocalypse is happening.
Oh, got it. So it is sort of an Ender's Game sort of thing.
Yeah,
so, like,
but we don't know.
Big conspiracy.
Yeah, there is a big conspiracy. We learn that the black letter opener on her mom's desk is made out of the only metal that can kill these venom monsters.
Okay.
The whole reason that the rebellion started in the first place was because Fen Ryerson, Zayden's dad, was like, well, everybody needs to know. Like, people need to know.
Oh, and so the establishment doesn't want the citizens to know that the apocalypse is happening, so they don't panic?
Right. This is why the book wasn't in the archives. This is, and she's like realizing all this stuff. And
she's been lied to her entire life.
But she's still mad at Zayden and not like instantly pissed at her mom, which I'm
her
like,
mom
that's the
was in
person
charge
I'd
of
be
this?
mad at. Yeah. But whatever. And then she figures out, she's like puts the pieces together, and he's like, because Zayden keeps saying that his relic is actually more helpful than people think, and it's because it is magically imprinted on there, and that magic makes it, for some reason, I don't know why, but makes it so that like that general can't see what they're up to, and when 3 or more of those relics are together, it creates like a powerful enough shield to disguise their movements. That's why it's illegal.
So they got all tattooed. So wait, did like the main country tattoo them?
Yeah, like the establishment tattooed them, yeah.
So they tattooed them, but also the tattoos make it so the establishment can't find them?
Yeah, just that one guy. I don't know why.
Oh,
but
okay.
Yeah. Just that one guy is the only guy with the ability to do that. I don't know why that happened. Maybe this book is sort of like asking a question and then answering it, so I'm curious if like the dragons are, because Taryn and Undarna knew the whole time that she was being lied to, and they kept it a secret. So she's like, what the hell else are you keeping a secret? So there could be other stuff.
Interesting.
But they go to Athbine, they resume, and nobody is there. They're like, this is weird.
So this is that post that Zayden keeps going to? Okay.
And Zayden's like missive is at Athbine. Like, he just got like the location, but the actual mission is at Athbine. And he goes and he reads it, and it says like, survive. And they like open the curtain, and there's like an army of venom and wyvern like, approaching on a settlement, because Dane knew what was happening because he touched her and told everybody in charge, and so they sent them out to get killed.
Oh.
Like
all the rebellion people.
Right. Yeah.
God, and the dragons.
Yes, and their dragons. They sent them there, like the mission is defend this little town, because like they're gonna kill everybody in that town. So if you're loyal, you'll go in and save everybody and get killed in the process, or if you're a traitor, you'll leave and we'll kill you when you get back.
Got it. So it's their convenient way of getting rid of all these rebellion
and so
people.
she realizes that like Dane has betrayed her and her mom has betrayed her, and this is all fucked up. Now, to her mom's credit, she didn't send Violet there. Zayden
she wasn't supposed to be in the
sort
squad.
Of a terrible, because that when Dane touched her, he realized like that was the mission at Athbine. He like realized that she was gonna go get killed, but also she's like, well, if she wants to be with Zayden, fine, she can die. So big fucking sweet battle happens, like Griffin riders and dragon riders versus the monsters and their dragons. The monsters are like human beings with like purple flowing cloaks and like pale skin and red veins, and they can cast like crazy magic, and
so they're kind of like crazy wizards.
Yeah, they are. And they ride scary dragons. Scary wyvern, 2 legs, not 4 legs. A battle happens. 2 of the rebellion kids die. Liam is unfortunately one of them. Liam dies.
Aw.
But Violet is she like casts like ultra lightning and it like kills like everybody. She's like stupid powerful because like her thing is like she's like when she's learning how to use her magic. I didn't mention this, but she is like a magic learning class. Mm-hmm. Her body is so weak because her real power lies in this like magic she can cast, and like like magic in this world needs to balance itself out somehow. So that's how it's balanced out in her.
So the buff dudes can barely do any magic, but they get
the buff dudes all have like far sight or like something like that. But she's like the only lightning wielder in like 2 billion years or whatever. She's like the most powerful person ever.
Classic.
But she is whooping ass. It is actually awesome. She's like flying. It feels like you're on like Top Gun. They're like, bank left. And she's like shooting fucking lightning. It's sweet.
That's awesome.
There's like this sweet moment where there's like an entire army of dragons approaching, and Xaden creates like this huge wall of shadow while she's like, because she can't like aim it. She just like sends lightning in a direction and hopes it hits something. And so she's trying to aim it and she like hits the leader of this group of Venin, and then it kills all their dragons, and hooray, nice. They lived. But during the process, she was stabbed by a Morgul blade. That is what happens. She gets stabbed by a Morgul blade, and literally they're like, it's poisoned. Like, she's going to die. And she like passes out and falls off her dragon.
And Glorfindel shows up.
Yes, he does. And they take across the river. But she like falls off her dragon, and she's like going in and out of consciousness as they're like leaving, and Xaden is like, I know where to take her. Like, she comes to after they've already said where they're going, and so they're like arguing. They're like, that's crazy, we can't bring her there, like, you're out of your mind. And Xaden's like, I could kill you with my mind, like, don't tell me what to do. And so she wakes up in bed. This is the POV switch. POV to Xaden, like sitting in her like the chair by her bed, like waiting for her to wake up. And she finally does, and it seems at first like a lot of time has passed. And she's like maybe lost all of her memories because the poison like spread through her whole body.
Oh shit.
But then she like recoils at his touch. Like they're like holding hands and like having a conversation, and then like a light like turns on in her eyes, and she like
this is away. All from Xaden's point of view.
Yeah. So she like backs away and is like, you know, lied to me, betrayed me, whatever. She's doing the same thing again. And she's like, where are we? And he's like, I think you already know. And she like looks out the window, and she goes, are we in your hometown in the rebel place of the world? And he's like, uh-huh. And they're like, I thought they burned it down. And they're like, we're rebuilding it because this is where we're starting the rebellion. And she's like, but who healed me? Like, I don't understand. And he's like, I know the best. He's like, you weren't healed. You were magically mended. And then door opens, her brother's there who like was dead, and she's like, welcome to the revolution. And then that's how the book ends.
Nice.
That's Fourth Wing. Her brother's alive. Brennan's alive. I can't believe it.
And that's a classic young adult. Wait, what if America is bad, maybe?
Yes, that is exactly what's happening.
Huh.
Yeah, it's a real thinker, you know. What if America was bad? What if my brother was alive? Those are the two things. But yeah,
I wish my brother was alive.
He's back. Brennan is back. They're starting a revolution. I have no idea what the second book is about, but I would imagine they're all outlaws now because they never came back to the school. So
the revolution is like just telling people that it's a different war than what they think.
Well, it's like they need to get rid of the establishment, or else the whole world is eventually going to be swallowed by these monsters. So they need to band together because they are killable. It's just that the people who can kill them aren't fighting the war.
Right.
It's sort of like it's the flood from Halo, or like it's like if in Star Wars there was like also a zombie army happening. And it was like, okay, the rebellion needs to get rid of the Empire, not just because they're the evil Empire, but also because we need everybody on the same side to fight the zombies. That's what's going on. But yeah, that's Fourth Wing. I mean, I don't know if I'll read the second one.
Yeah.
Maybe I will. Maybe I'll like pick it up and see if it's written maybe any better. But I am interested to see where the story goes.
Do you know what we should do?
We should do it.
You should read the second ACOTAR book. And I should read the second Fourth Wing book.
No. You're just trying to trade off you want the good thing.
Yeah, I want the
Saddle me with
tolerable
the bad
thing.
thing.
Although I did just come into a physical copy of the second one, so I feel like my excuses to not read it are
You're
few.
Yeah.
Although it's a lot longer than the first one.
Oh, Danilo, I have here my favorite. Like, this prose is happening constantly. Like, I found my new favorite one. This is maybe the worst metaphor of all time. Here we go. Pain rips through my chest with the kind of cut that only heartbreak can give, sharp and jagged. I imagine this is what it feels like to be cleaved apart with a dull, rust-covered blade. So which one is it? Is it sharp and jagged pain, or is it a dull pain? Because it can't be both. It just can't be both. So that's sort of happening constantly. So, like, that's what I mean when, like, I mean the book is poorly written, but then also she's fucking shooting lightning and it's badass.
Well, it also seems like there's a plan or a structure.
Oh,
like,
definitely.
I at no point felt that A Court of Thorns and Roses was in any way, like, character-based or, like, internally consistent or, like, had plot points that were, like, thought of ahead of time.
Wow.
As I looked, I don't mean to be constantly talking about ACOTAR, but I keep, like, looking at, I'm, like, obsessed of looking at, like, what people think about all these things.
Yeah.
And, like, even, I've read so many comments where, like, I love these books, I've read them all, but I still think they're poorly written. Like, I don't like all the reused phrases, and there's a ton of retconning, and, like, characters get, like, all have the same traits all the time.
That's how I feel about this, but
Yeah.
it's just also, like, fun. Like, I don't know. It is just fun.
You're going to rate how many Mistborns do you rate it?
Oh, that's what I was going to say. This is way better than Mistborn.
Yeah.
I think it's just because this is a lot more fun, and it's not, like, so self-serious. Like, this book is anything but self-serious. It almost feels like a B movie, which might be why I like it so much, is that it sort of is self-aware with how, like, shit it is. But that's, like, a good thing. I don't know.
And it sounds, from what you're saying, like there's enough of the magic for it to, like, be entertaining or interesting, but not so much that you're like, what chemical is causing her to have the lightning powers?
Exactly, but they also get around it. They're at school, so when she does have to learn how to do magic, it doesn't feel stupid because it's like, oh, this is a new class. It's like, she didn't get to attend magic class before because she couldn't do it, but now that she does, she attends magic class. Remember I said last time with that guy that snapped that kid's neck? Like, she attends magic class with that weirdo by themselves in the forest, because in a big clearing, so that when she casts lightning, she doesn't burn down the fucking school. But yeah, man, I don't know. This is way better than Mistborn, but I would still probably give it 5 Mistborns because I think it's even more poorly written than Mistborn is, like, objectively. It's just more. All the rest of it is so much better. Like, Mistborn is so boring.
I found, and I was thinking about this as I was reading ACOTAR. Like, for Mistborn, it is so on the nose, which is a positive and a negative. You know, it's like, Vin has trust issues. Yes.
And Fourth Wing has shades of that with, like, the "you betrayed me" when it's really like, no, he didn't. Like that. I always think that's so frustrating. But
yeah, I always, when someone told me that we were losing the Vietnam War, I was like, you betrayed me personally. What do you mean?
No,
Mom, how could you betray me like this?
Ho Chi Minh. Yeah, man. This is a pretty sweet. If you want something just light and fun, I would definitely recommend, listener, that you listen to the audiobook of this. Now there is about a 10-minute section where a woman seductively reads pornography to you. So if that is not really what you're into, just quickly, I forgot the special edition. The last 2 sections are previous chapters from Xaden's point of view.
Oh.
And, like, even in those chapters, he's like, I'm so in love with this woman, but she's so annoying. She is, but there's, like, literally, it's, like, so funny. There's a moment, like, way early on in the book where they spar for the first time, and she's like, crazy how she doesn't even know her brother's alive. It's like, were you thinking about that? Why are you thinking about that? Because he's been, like,
because what else do you put in there?
Right. But then it,
like,
God, also doesn't
know
make
that
sense.
I'm gonna betray her.
He's still, like, it's sort of clumsy because he still is like, oh, I don't know if I want to kill this woman or like be in love with her. But it's like, her brother is helping you do the rebellion. Like, why wouldn't you want
Also,
her
your
on
dragons
side?
are mated. Why would you kill her?
Oh, this is before she has her dragon.
I see.
After they're mated, he never once he's overprotective once their dragons are
that makes
mated.
sense.
But she didn't get a choice in that. Like, Taryn chose her, and it really made Xaden frustrated. But there's like a fun thing where it's like, oh, did it really make him frustrated? Because he was going to step in and save her anyway, and whatever.
This book has 1.6 million ratings on Goodreads.
What is the Goodreads rating?
4.59 stars.
That's a little high, but that's okay. Did you pull up some 1-star reviews? I forgot to do that.
I am going to pull them up. I hope they're fun. One is new half-year resolution. I need to stop taking recommendations from Book Talk. You know what I found? I'm going to keep talking about ACOTAR. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
So many people who liked it are like, oh, I can admit the writing is bad and it's cringy, but I'm here for the vibes. That's the vibes was the word that kept coming back over and over on people who like really liked it. They're like, it might not make much sense. You might not like the characters, but the vibes are immaculate. So I think the people who really like ACOTAR are vibes-based readers.
Yeah, they are.
Which sort of
they are VBRs. Maybe I'm sure upon a closer read, a lot of this political revolutionary rhetoric falls flat. But listen, man,
I think
it's
for a
schlocky.
schlocky,
it's a schlocky bullshit
YA novel. I mean, it's not YA, but it is, except for the fact that they have sex.
Yeah, I wouldn't read this if you're like, this book fucking sucks, but I love it. Like, it's terrible, but it's no they don't fuck each other like this in fucking Pride and Prejudice, I'll tell you that.
That's true.
They just kiss and have picnics.
We're at a great time in history where you could just publish this.
It does make me feel really good about my own ability to write a book, though. If this can get published, I wonder if I tried to write my spicy romantasy book talk novel about a boy who goes to college and meets maybe a mean girl, if it would explode.
Now, would you? This is a question. I know we've been talking about this romantasy YA new adult genre. I have found, I don't want to sound all gendered, but it does seem to cater primarily to women. Do you
definitely
think if you wrote one with as good as Fourth Wing with a male main character for the same thing, do you think it would be popular at all?
You see, there's like a way, I feel there are things that when a woman writes a sex scene, there are different things in there than when like a man would write a sex scene, I think. So I don't know if like a male author trying to chase this trend would be able to write as like captivating because like romance is a genre predominantly at least marketed towards women. I don't know the exact demographics on who reads those books, but like the marketing is towards women. Like you go into the store or people, the marketing is for people attracted to men. Like
right,
the books all have like hot dudes on the cover and stuff like that. So I don't know.
This one doesn't.
No, it doesn't.
And I think that could possibly explain its popularity because it is.
Oh, definitely. Because it does just look like a fantasy book.
Yeah.
At least I think like when it's like copies sold, that does not mean copies read or like copies enjoyed. It does just say copies sold. But yeah, I don't know. I'd be interested in trying. I'm curious like what because I don't think I could ever write like a sex scene in a book and have it be interesting because like I don't really know. I don't have any basis in like what people would want to read. And so
I guess my question would be like, if you're writing this book primarily towards in a genre that caters towards, women or people attracted to men, would they at all be interested in reading it from a male point of view? Like, would that do the same thing, do you think? Or is it like what you experience where you're reading it and it's hot, but maybe not in the same way it would be as
Right.
if like you put yourself in that first person situation. I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, the chapters from Zayden's POV read the same, but like there's a reason it's at the very end of this book and not at the beginning.
Sure.
Also, like this is in the same vein as a book like Twilight. The market is like 14 to 18-year-old girls. Like that is what I feel like the advertising market for this book is. So like from a publishing standpoint, that main character needs to be a girl that is the same age and is like, I don't know, there are gay characters in the book, but she is in a heteronormative relationship with a beautiful straight man. Like I don't know, like it's not even like if a main character is the like, does this book sell as well if like the character is gay? Like this book does not take big like there's a non-binary character in it, but they're barely in this book.
Right.
And also their special ability is the astral projecting one. So it's like being like two people at the same time. Like I don't know if that's great. Like that's not.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's what you
like,
think of non-binary people.
Yeah. Like
they just need to choose a side, and that's their magic power.
Yeah, exactly. Like I don't know. Or maybe, like maybe I would love to read a book like a gay version of this. Like I think that'd be awesome. I just don't know if that kind of stuff is out there.
Percy Jackson first person. I'm trying to think of like
Percy Jackson.
The other
is
thing
first
that's
person, yeah.
Is it okay? That doesn't have sex in it naturally.
No.
Because I was also thinking like Hunger Games 2 and Twilight. Like these big hit things are like first person point of view from a woman or a girl.
Yeah.
Harry Potter's third person. I just think
Harry
that's
Potter's
I don't know.
person.
I think that's interesting.
Well, I think
Mistborn is third
like,
person, but that I don't know.
Young adult literature, you see a lot of the same thing, which is like a female protagonist who, for whatever reason, does not fit into society normally, either because it is like a dystopia or because she is a magical girl. Also, bonus points on whether or not she wields a bow and arrow. Like, she needs to be like, though she be small, she is fierce, or whatever the quote is. She needs to lead some sort of revolution against an oppressive regime. There are billions of these books out. If Fourth Wing comes out, minus the sex, because I think that's a huge reason why people like this. If Fourth Wing comes out, sans sex scene, right when Hunger Games and Divergent and Maze Runner, I don't think anybody gives a fuck about Fourth Wing.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody cares. I think it falls right into the same exact, like, I've never read Divergent, but from all accounts, the people who were all aboard, like my wife, her friends, like people who were really on board with like that dystopian, like a young adult thriller, fucking hated Divergent because it was like, are you serious? Like, I've read this a billion times. Now, Fourth Wing at least goes through the motions of it not being that, and then at the end, that is what it is. And I'm like, okay.
But it's school and it's dragons.
It's like if Harry Potter led a rebellion. I don't know.
I mean, he does.
That is like, I feel like that is the... Oh, yeah.
He fights against the Dark Lord, and remember the Dark Lord... They like take over Hogwarts, and then he leaves and comes back.
Yeah, that's true. He comes back with his army of bros, and he fights Lucius Malfoy or whatever. Anyway,
fascinating
stuff.
Maybe both you and I do NaNoWriMo, and then we write the next big YA hit or a new or romantasy hit.
We'll go to the woods and we'll do a bunch of ayahuasca, and we'll sit down on our laptops and
typewriters.
We'll sit down on our big heavy typewriters, and we'll write a sex scene about people in college. I am seriously interested in maybe trying to find like what people consider a better one of these sorts of
like a
romantasy
really good
books.
Romantasy, yeah.
And giving that a shot. I'd be disheartened to find that I like this book because it is schlocky and bad, and not because I like the romance part of it.
Now, I always find, every genre is a marketing term, basically. But
True.
It seems like a good romantasy, like with other fantasy books, like it's just a good fantasy book that romance also happens during it.
Yeah, because the buy-in here is the sweet dragon riding and the fucking lightning magic, but then you also get to, dude eats some girl out, which is pretty sweet too. So. No blowjobs though, so this book gets a 0 out of 10 for me. I also feel like I talked to partner about this. Because I brought that up. I was like, do you think I could write a romantasy book? And she was like, I think that the answer is no. And just because she was assuming I would like have it be a female main character, and like I don't think I would never do that. That's weird. Yeah. But there's also like there's like a very stereotypical like power thing going on with this relationship in this book, of like the small girl and like the big like daddy man. So it's not, this book isn't reinventing the wheel in terms of like sexual fantasies. It is just playing into them. So maybe if I came up with a cool one, like if it was like a goblin and like a ghoul and they fucked each other.
Yeah, that's big with the ghoul market.
Ghouls
this is
world
first
over.
Ghoul person point of view. It's like Fourth Wing, but from the point of view of a ghoul.
Oh, get out of my house! Get out of my house! That's pretty cool, man. That'd be pretty sweet. I think I'm gonna email Penguin Publishing that book idea. Hey, Penguin, book idea. Ghoul point of view, Fourth Wing. Thoughts?
It's like Fourth Wing meets ghouls in your walls.
Yeah. It's like Fourth Wing, but if I didn't have any skin and I lived in your house. Okay. Go on.
I saw this. Enemies to lovers. All right. This is
yeah.
a thing. This is a big thing. I think Akatar gets tagged as this too. Maybe not so much the first one, but I think
this
later
Reese
when
fellow.
like Reese, yeah, he's bad, but then he's like good actually. The review I just read said about Fourth Wing, the enemies part is Violet thinks he hates her for 400 pages, and that's about it.
That is really what's going on. That is sort of frustrating. It helps that the whole time during that, Xaden isn't like, no, I don't. He's sort of being like cute and coy about it, which does make that readable. If it was just like the betrayal part where it's just like she's way wrong about what's going on, then it'd be frustrating.
I don't know why this little foray has me fascinated by this genre. I want to read more like what good romance is.
Yeah, no. There's a non-zero chance. There's like a, let me see if I remember what it's called. Yeah, here it is. It's called Sword Catcher. This is like a young adult romantasy thing.
I found things on, I'm sorry interrupting.
No, you're good.
Things on Goodreads that are rated between 3 and 4 stars are the ones that are actually good.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, if they're 5 stars, then that means it. So you know what, folks out there, if you're listening, rate us 4.5 stars. Don't give us the full 5 because then people won't trust us.
I just think our friends are review bombing, which they are not.
They're not. Don't trust us, they're not. Nobody listens to this show, but they might listen to the Fourth Wing and Akatar episodes, if I can convince them. Or if you are willing to convince them for me, dear listener.
Yes, call our friends at the numbers down in the description.
Yep, all of their phone numbers and addresses will be in the description, because if they do not answer your phone call, you could send them a funny letter, if you know what I mean, with something in it. Kill them with a letter. I don't know.
Big paper cut right across the neck.
Yeah, it's a big, sharp piece of paper.
Big, sharp piece of paper made out of metal? A knife?
People are calling them the slowest throwing knives in the world.
Fast as those little boys in the Pony Express can carry them.
Well, on that note, folks, I think that'll do it for another episode of the Hardcover Hooligans podcast. If you liked what you saw, well, that's not right. If you liked what you heard, or if you like what you saw, if you like your phone,
if you like
you
whatever you're
case,
looking at right now,
if you enjoy where you are right
phone
now,
case, the tree, your dog, if you're looking at your dog,
only if you like
listener,
your dog.
Go look at your dog right now. Tell them to listen to the Hardcover Hooligans podcast.
Yep. Okay, we assume you're back, and we have a new listener, so it worked. It worked.
For a new listener, woof woof.
Woof woof woof.
Next week we are reading Wishbone, the Wishbone books
nice.
with a little dog detective.
Yep.
So
and then
stay
after
tuned
we're
for
doing
that.
Clifford.
Dogs.
We're gonna do Clifford. We're gonna do a lot of Clifford. A lot, too much Clifford.
There's a big, we could go deep into the Clifford lore.
Yeah, we could. He's big and he's red.
How'd he get so big? How'd he get so red? And the Pentagon might be involved.
That's true, folks. The Pentagon might have made Clifford a big red dog to make him a big target in case of a second 9/11. All right. Anyway, you know the drill. Send us an email at hardcoverhooligans@gmail.com. Put a book recommendation in a review, and we might read it. It depends on what it is. If you want to be funny and say ACOTAR 2, then the answer is no. We'd love to give you an update about what the next book we're going to read is, but
we don't know.
So you could give us a suggestion, but it's not going to reach us in time for us to do that. But keep on the lookout. Just go to your local bookstore and buy a genre fiction novel, and there's a non-zero chance that might be the one we talk about next.
It's non-zero. And then tell your local bookseller to listen to the podcast.
Yep. And if your local bookseller is a dog, tell them
woof woof.
Yes. All right, and I especially mean it this time. Stay hard, everybody.
Stay hard like Zayden.